Welcome, fellow explorers, to Discovering Gray's Lake podcast. My name is David Wool, and I'm your guide on this journey through the hidden gems and untold stories of our beloved Gray's Lake. Whether you're a longtime resident or just passing through, this podcast is your passport to the heart and soul of our community. Together, we'll uncover history, celebrate the present, and dream about the future of Gray's Lake. I'm doing my best to leave no stone unturned in our quest to discover what makes our town so truly special. Get ready for interviews with local legends, fascinating insights of our town's past with a sprinkle of the unexpected. I invite you to join me every week as we embark on this adventure together. This is the Discovering Gray's Lake podcast. A quick word from our sponsors and on to the show. It's time to unleash your style with custom shirts. Explore endless possibilities with Jammin' Tees. Whether it's for school, business, team, or events, Jammin' Tees has you covered, literally, for all your custom apparel needs. Hey there, Gray's Lake. Looking for a good time right in the heart of our awesome community? Well, look no further than the Gray's Lake Village Center, your one-stop destinations for all things fun and fabulous. Picture this. Historic downtown vibes with a mix of diverse businesses, shopping galore, and restaurants that'll make your taste buds dance. But that's not all. The Village Center is where the action is, with events happening year-round for the whole family. Take a stroll through Central Park, Gelatin Park, surrounded by trails, green spaces, and more activities than you could shake a sledding hill at. And when the weather warms up, dive into the Gray's Lake Aquatic Center for some splash-tastic fun. But wait, there is more. Visit grayslakevillagecenter.com to discover the incredible lineup of events happening every month. Want the 411 delivered straight to your inbox? Sign up for the Gray's Lake Village Center digital newsletter on the website, or check out their Facebook page for the latest happenings. Be in the know. Not sure what you're waiting for? Come on down, soak in the local vibes, and enjoy the experience that's unmistakably Gray's Lake. Gray's Lake Village Center, where the fun never stops. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Gray's Lake. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm sitting with my now friend, yes. Jimmy Miholivich. Serendipitous friend. And the company that you have, it's called Smile4E, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, before we get into that, we have to tell people, can we do just a brief story of how we actually met each other?
Yeah.
Almost a year ago.
So real quick, I was looking for a DJ for my stepdaughter. Because she's getting married. And I used to deal with the DJ Dave back in the day that I dealt with it several times in my life. And I Googled DJ Dave, and your number came up.
Yep.
Because I didn't have DJ Dave's that I know's number. And then we got on the phone, and I actually was like, man, Dave, it doesn't sound like you. You're like, yeah. I'm like, Dave, like...
I was bullshitting my
way
through the conversation.
Yeah, got
like,
divorced.
Sure,
yeah, okay. I'm like, all right, well, okay. And then we went to Triangle, right?
Yeah, we met for breakfast.
And I was in there or on my way there, I'm like, man, I don't think this is him.
The wrong guy.
Sure enough, I get there and here you're sitting in the booth who I thought Dave would be, and here Dave is, and now here we are.
It's like a Cheech and Chong. Dave's not here.
It's serendipitous, so It's all good.
So it's fun that we met like that, and through that time too, because we're both fathers, we started talking about and folks, I wish this was on video, because when I first met Jimmy, he is so passionate about what he does, and I think this is going to get through to you, and this is going to hit home and may hit hard for some people. So let's talk about your program, and let's talk about actually why, or the basic, what is it, and then we can go from there.
So in January of 22, I had this thing come over me that just said you need to create something to bring awareness. As a dad of a 13-year-old daughter, knowing about all these phones and the things that go on with them, something came over me, and I started to write all these things, and through those writings I created a program called Smile4E.
Okay, but you're missing the best part of the story, man. You're selling yourself short here. When we first talked, these things just didn't come over you. You showed me your writings, and it looked like you were like overcome, like you were possessed for a little bit.
But I don't want people to think I'm nuts. But
well, you are a little nuts, which makes it great.
So, okay, So this wave of energy came over me, more or less like God whispered in my ear, basically, and said, "Listen, you have to do this." So I started to write feverishly for days and days and days and weeks at a time. And lo and behold, and then actually this particular program, I actually was woke up at 3 in the morning from a sound sleep. I sat straight up in my bed and I went downstairs in my kitchen and something told me to write Smile for Everyone. And after I wrote it a couple times, I came up with the acronym Smile for Everyone. And before I even say what the acronym is, I want to explain what Smile for Everyone is. It's a program that we want to promote peer-to-peer kindness amongst young people and even adults, just people in general. And a smile is the first kind gesture that you can offer someone when you walk up to them, right? So that's first and foremost. And on the back side of it is Smile for Everyone, because we're all on camera everywhere we go. Whether it's you're in the grocery store, you're at a stoplight, you're in a gas station, you're in a school, you're walking down the road from a Ring doorbell.
Everything.
Anything, anywhere, you're on camera. So we want to promote awareness for, again, young people and even adults, that your actions, the things that you say, the things that you do are all being taken in, and you may not realize it, and those things can either be used against you or they can be beneficial for you one way or the other. It's both sides. So
it's part of the digital footprint of everything.
Yeah, and so the question that I pose is, what is the biggest responsibility of young people ages 10 years old to 25 years old in today's day and age?
What is the biggest
responsibility of young people ages 10 years old to 25 years old?
It's a good question.
So, I mean, what would your answer be?
Well, I know you a little bit better. If I had to say that, I guess treating people with kindness and respect.
Okay. Well, and that, yes, that holds true too. But in today's day and age, the biggest responsibility for young people 10 years old, 25 years old is understanding the responsibilities, disciplines, successes, failures, and consequences that come with owning and operating a cell phone and or mobile device in today's day and age. Because that cell phone and or mobile device is connected to all of our behaviors, all of our successes and our failures, and even schooling, all these things, because we're a society of technology, and you can't get away from it.
No, it's
where we are, right? So in lieu of all that,
the first thing you ever said to me that when we're talking about even we'll go over how that's the acronym, but when I first met you, I think one of the most powerful things you said to me was, what is the most dangerous thing for children right now? It's not guns. It's not anything.
It's the phones.
It is.
It is. And so Smile for Everyone is an acronym for Social Media Integrated Life Education for Everyone. So it kind of spells out what we're trying to do, and what we want to try to do is educate parents, teachers, staff, kids, law enforcement, whoever, on these isms that come along with these phones, both good and bad. And there's a level of transparency that needs to be had between parents and their kids today that is it's like it's never been before.
Well, and help me out with that, because I think I almost say how you preach it, because you're with your passion to say, right. How do I be a good father to a 15-year-old?
Well, so here's the deal, and again, I'm so that everybody knows, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a parental guide person, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how to parent. I speak this out of experience. My daughter is now 14. Her and I have a relationship that is second to none. It's very transparent. And when I say transparent, so one of the things that I say in my program is this: raising our kids with a hammer is not the answer, and earning our children's trust and respect is as important as our children trusting and respecting us. Our kids have to respect us, or they should respect us, because we're their parents, right?
Sure.
And that holds true. But whether our kids are 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, their lives are their lives. They just are. And we as parents, we need to earn that intimate level of trust and respect, to gain that from them. It's not demanded. We need to gain it from them.
Yes.
So that as they grow, they know that they can come to us. And I think the biggest a quote that I've lived by with my daughter is from Dr. Jordan Peterson. He says we need to raise our kids to do dangerous things carefully.
I love that quote.
Raise our kids to do dangerous things carefully. It could be on the monkey bars, could be walking across the street, playing with your friends, being on the phone, so on and so forth. But the fact is that, you know, we also tend to forget that as parents, you know, let's just say you're 30 and you're parenting your kid that's 15, right, or whatever, 50, whatever, or your grandparents, whatever. We forget that little Johnny at 13 is 13. And we as parents trying to parent it, we've already been through it all, but we need to get back on the 13-year-old level. How did we think? What was our thought processes? But here's the other caveat to it. Now put a phone and this technology that could literally launch missiles with this technology we have and our kids have. It's so vast and huge that, and then they're trying to navigate it, right? But they're young. They're 13. It's a huge responsibility, and people, they forget that, and I think that, you know, and with my daughter, I've told my daughter since she's been a little girl, and when I was a kid, I was a hellion. Okay, right? I've run the gamut.
We
right?
didn't need phones to be dangerous.
No, so, but in saying that, I've told my daughter for her whole life, I said, Peyton, your dad, me, I'm a bigger asshole than any of your friends by a mile. And I say it to her like that. I haven't ever coddled her, and I've never wanted to take away her innocence either, but I've also wanted her to know that the world is a crazy place out here. And you don't have to live in fear or walk around in eggshells, but be aware of your surroundings and know what is, right? So I've told her that, and I said, I'm going to tell you this too. I know for sure you're going to make the wrong decision. I know for sure you're going to probably succumb to peer pressure. I know for sure you're going to make mistakes.
Right.
And rather than beat you over the head with your mistakes, right, and have all these, not that there can't be consequences, and again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to parent. When she does make those mistakes, I know that in her mistakes is where she's growing the most. Just like every single one of us, till this day, you and I sitting here right now, we've had to make mistakes to get to where we are, right?
Absolutely.
And if you learn from them, you learn from them. But at the same time, if a young person makes a mistake and they're beat over the head with all these consequences, that's just a petri dish for resentment to be grown, right? So
then
now,
they're not going to trust.
They're not going to trust you, and they're not going to do these things because a lot of kids, shit, I'd rather get in a car with somebody drunk than call my mom or dad, even though they've told me that they could call me. Right. The way that they parent me doesn't coincide with what they say, right?
Right.
So I would rather roll the dice than get home and get screamed at or beat, whatever. Which, and again, I'm not telling anybody how to parent. And yes, and there are certain kids that do have to have certain reprimands and things of that nature because of the human being that they are, right?
And every kid's different.
But at the same time, even in saying that, sometimes all of us want to be validated. We all need, you know, affirmation, and we need to be told that we're good, and we need to be loved on. And some kids are lacking that in their home, whatever it is, and they're yearning for mom or dad to say, hey, Joey, you did a good job. Hey, Susie, you did a good job. Or, hey, you look pretty.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, right? And I think that tough love is one thing, and yes, you got to raise your kids to be strong, and you do have to give them responsibility, and they have to understand that nothing's easy and all that stuff, and that's all fine and dandy. But you know, love conquers all, and at a minimum, letting your kids know that they're loved no matter what they do, no matter, you know, how good or bad they are, whatever. And I think that there's a disconnect in that way. But
Hello, Grazed Lake. It's Randy Cashmore with Cashmore Financial Group. It's no secret that I love our village, and a big reason for that is my membership with the Grazed Lake Chamber of Commerce. If you haven't taken a look at the Grazed Lake Chamber lately, you should. We're a wonderful group of business people creating a positive difference in the village we call home. Reach out and get involved today. You'll be glad you did.
Grays Lake, are you ready for some nonstop fun with the Grays Lake Park District? Hundreds of classes, programs, community events, all designed to keep those smiles shining. Explore over 240 acres of parks, each a playground of excitement. Safety is their priority, ensuring a good time for all ages. From kids to the young at heart, the Grays Lake Park District has something for everyone. Grab your seasonal program guide for memories that'll last a lifetime. Your adventure begins with the Grays Lake Park District, where fun knows no limits.
In saying all that,
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I really want to know this. We've spoke many times about this, and let's say one of my children has an issue and their phones, and a lot of parents out there, everybody on everything from social media, these kids are getting in trouble. They're doing stupid shit, and one way to do it is say, forget it. I'm taking away your phone. You don't get Snapchat. You can't be on Instagram. You can't do that. I want you to share your thoughts so people can know, like, as you, in your opinion.
Okay, so here's
how do you feel about
this
that?
is the disconnect, and this is what I believe we as parents and grandparents and teachers and whoever need to understand. Our kids do not communicate with a cell phone in the fashion that we do. Period. We use text like on a phone normally, right?
Communication.
And we call and do whatever, right? That's not the way our kids operate. And I've come up with a few analogies that I could rattle off real quick. When mom and dad X and Y get little Johnny a phone when he's 13. All right, Johnny, you're 13 for your birthday. Here's your first iPhone, right?
Right.
But here's the deal, Johnny. You can't have Snapchat, you can't have Instagram, can't have TikTok, you can't have WhatsApp, can't have all these things. We're going to monitor your phone. We got an app that's going to go on there. This is so you have responsibility, so we can contact you and we know where you're at, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. What parents do not realize in 2023, this may not be like this in 2010, but in 2023, parents in that very statement to their kid have created a deceitful scenario between themselves and their kid. Not because Johnny wants to be deceitful, but because when Johnny goes to school and says, "Hey Billy, yeah, I got my iPhone, man, but I can't have like Snapchat and like WhatsApp and stuff." My parent, Billy goes, "Johnny, give me that phone, man. I got an app that'll go around that, dude." Now Johnny's on the apps, but Johnny needs to be on the apps because that's the way in which his friends communicate. They're not even going to communicate with him via regular text or call. That isn't the way that the world works, right?
Right.
And there's little statuses within their life, and there's little threads that they want to keep up on, and that's important to them in their life because that's their life, that's their culture that they live in. But we don't understand that. We're going, "Why are you always on your phone?" Well, because that's all they know. They don't know any different.
That's their playground.
That's their playground. So what happens is now Johnny's on the apps, right?
Being deceitful to his
Being
parents.
deceitful to his parents, but not even because he wants to, but just so he can contact his friends and stuff. Well, now, over the coming months, Johnny, and again, this is all theoretical, but Johnny gets in a tiff with his friends. And now Billy, Tommy, Kyle, whoever, they're mad at Johnny. "Johnny, we're going to beat your ass tomorrow. Johnny, we're going to steal your lunch. Johnny this, Johnny that, Johnny this." And not only at school, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning,
It doesn't
right?
go away.
But Johnny, his cognitive brain function at 13, he can't weigh out that he needs to go to a teacher or to his parents. Why? Because he's not supposed to be on them. He's in fear of being in trouble.
Right, because he's already lied about it. He started
So now
lying.
he's dealing with this on his own accord. His grades are dropping. He's not eating. "Johnny, what's going on?" "Nothing, Mom. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine." Worst case scenario is find Johnny hanging in the closet, which we hear this every single day of every single week.
Yep.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. And we see little tidbits of it, but it's happening in every city, every little town across the country and really globally at this point, right? And on the flip side to it too is Johnny's talking to little Timmy. Johnny lives in Antioch. Little Timmy lives in Lake Villa.
Right.
They're going back and forth on the apps. They're playing maybe video games or whatever. And they start talking. And little Timmy befriends Johnny. And Timmy's 14. Johnny's 13. Hey, Timmy says, Johnny, let's meet up at Dairy Queen in Antioch. Okay. Johnny gets on his bike. Rides up to Dairy Queen. When he gets there, little Timmy, 14, is really Tom, 35, from Round Lake. But now he's been being groomed. And again, he's not going to tell his parents. Now he's fearful, and he's being groomed by this guy. And next thing you know, little Johnny is in a basement of some dude's house in Round Lake.
Being sexually assaulted,
right? So these things happen every single day of the week. And can I go over with a couple more analogies?
Of course.
So when
this is scary stuff.
Well, here's another one. When Cindy Lou tells Susie Q that her and Johnny were making out and that Johnny was in the car with her and he pushed her head down or whatever, right?
Right.
And Susie Q, Susie Q goes, tells her mom, and her mom says this and this and this, right? Now, little Johnny is a pervert. Now, little Johnny may have done something terrible too, and that needs to be addressed. But there's little things that, and maybe that's even a bad rendition. Here's a better rendition. Little Johnny sends a dick pic to Susie Q, and she shows it to Cindy Lou.
Yeah.
Little Johnny isn't trying to be a pervert. He's got a tool in his hand, right? He's actually a good kid, right?
Right.
But he's got a tool in his hand that he's just being a dumb shit kid. Now, is there sexual predatorial things happening amongst kids? And are there some young men or young women that are predatorial in nature? Sure. And I'm not going to say that any of that is good, but what happens is that when little Johnny, the good kid, who's just a knucklehead, does this, and then it goes from Susie Q to Cindy Lou shows it to her mom, her mom goes to the principal. Next thing you know, it's a lewd act, it's child pornography, it's all these things wrapped in one.
And depending on their age, they can
and
be
now
sex offenders.
Now little Johnny has this sex offender thing on his thing. Now, again, none of those things are right. And even if little Johnny was making out with a girl and he got a little bit, that is 100% wrong and it needs to be addressed. But there's misconceptions sometimes, and things can be misconstrued too sometimes. Boy and girl. This isn't just for male, right? And I know that and then there's young girls talking to older boys that are being groomed in a sense.
Okay, when you say, for people that don't know what being groomed is, that they're setting them up, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're setting them up and telling them all the things that they want to hear, because let's not forget, young people are impressionable.
Yeah.
And when you're 19 versus 13, there's a huge age gap, right? And that impressionability is and if this guy is a predator, right? He is being predatorial on this, you know what I mean? So where they groom them.
And by the time they find out,
and by the time they figure it out and they're meeting, now you have a 13-year-old or 14-year-old or even 15-year-old. 15 and 19 is a huge gap. It's predatorial at that point, right? You got 18 and 19. Okay, 18 and 19. You're adults. You're doing what you want, whatever. Right. But the fact is that, and again, fear, embarrassment, right?
Sure. And these people are feeling peer pressured.
Peer pressure, and also too wanting to be status quo with your friends, right?
Right.
Those things all carry a lot of load on our young people today. That they want to fit in, or they want to be cool, or this girl wants to be like that girl, and maybe this girl here is more mature than this girl here, and maybe her sexual behaviors are at a different, right? You know what I mean? Everybody's different, but
right. And you say this, and I think about the backlash that even comes after that. So the 19-year-old meets up with a 15-year-old, something happens, somebody finds out about it. The actual act of the sexual abuse that happens there after they're being groomed is found out by other people, and then they use social media to call the girl a whore or anything else. So it goes
so deep. And I talk about the firestorm too, is that whether it's sexual in nature or someone says something about someone, right?
Which doesn't even have to be true.
Whatever it is, this is the problem. When you and I were young, if we said, hey, Dave has a little da-da-da-da on the playground, right?
I don't know how you know that.
It was hearsay, right? Or Jimmy's got a little whatever, right? It was hearsay.
May or may not be true.
It was hearsay, right?
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
But nowadays, when you say that, it's timestamped with your name, with your date, all these things, and it's there. And at a press of a button, it can go to everyone. And so that's a kind of a funny example, but if
they could say anything
if
and
Susie
they
Q
hurt somebody.
Said to Cindy Lou, hey, Karen smells, she's got buck teeth, she's ugly, she's got whatever it is, right? Something derogatory about her. And Susie Q and Cindy Lou are supposed to be like ace one friend, like they're like inseparable. But they get in a little tiff, and all of a sudden, Cindy Lou says, hey, Karen, Susie Q said this about you, da-da-da-da, right? And she like throws a little flair on it, maybe even, to sweeten it up.
Like the telephone game.
Right, so now they have this. Well, now it goes to this. And now knee-jerk reaction emotion is a firestorm against Susie Q or Cindy Lou, or whoever, right? The one that sent it originally has a firestorm, and now everybody's feeding like a bunch of sharks off of everybody else's emotion. They're like, yeah, you're a bitch, you're a whore, go kill yourself, blah, 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 right? And this is happening every single day of the week.
Seeking a haven for your soul? Look no further than Inner Haven Spiritual Development Center, where your spiritual journey is uniquely yours. Artisans, storytellers, healers, teachers, spiritual warriors find guidance, support, and a haven for your inner self. Inner Haven is your sanctuary for transformation and discovery. Step into Inner Haven's art gallery, a haven within a haven. Immerse yourself in a world of joy where art, repurposed treasures, and specialty gifts await. They're not kidding when they say almost everything in their space is for sale. Discover a constant flow of new creations, all crafted by local artists who pour their hearts into every piece. It's just not shopping, it's an experience. Accent your home and find the perfect gift for a loved one at Inner Haven Art Gallery. Your journey begins at Inner Haven, where every piece has a story and every soul finds its haven. So your program, now that we've scared the hell out of every parent that's listening, and then they should be scared.
And what we're trying to identify and help articulate and help people understand are all of these things that can be detrimental to our young people. But on the flip side of that whole setup, there's so many positive things too.
Correct.
Little Johnny sees an old lady getting her purse stolen at the Jewel or whatever, and he's on his Snapchat riding his bike, and he sees it, and he solves the crime, right? Little Johnny is in his room making a podcast in his bedroom, and his content is sought after now by whoever, or he's making tunes, or he's making beats, and all of a sudden, Justin Timberlake's calling him up saying, "Hey, we want your," just like
good stuff,
just like Justin Bieber, right? Like these things. So, and that's the caveat to the whole thing.
Right. So I'm gonna reel you back in because Jimmy needs to be reeled back in every once in a while.
Yes,
by the way, and we're good enough friends now.
I do.
Which is great. So, as a parent listening, we've told these stories of the bad shit that can happen.
Yes.
I mean, all the way from just being, harassed to people taking their own lives.
Correct.
How do we as parents, but you said in your opinion, we don't say you can't have this. So as parents here, you say let your kid have the Snapchat, let them have that. But how do we help, and how do we help guide them and monitor?
Well, so any of us, even in our jobs, right? Nobody wants to be helicoptered upon.
Right.
And we have to watch out, but we also have to trust in our parenting that we've raised our kids to do things in life to navigate life. Because all we're doing when when we don't let our kids do what we've been trying to teach them for their whole lives, we're basically saying, hey, we didn't parent you right.
Right. Well, what about...
you can't do it because we didn't give you the right tools.
Right. But what if a parent is in a situation right now where they may... I mean, we all look back and go, man, I could have done that much better as a parent. So now we have to still have their trust.
I think this is the question.
Okay.
You be very candid and you sit your kids down and you say, listen, how have I failed you as a parent? How have I done you a disservice parenting you? They're going to be scared to tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something that you need to know. You need to understand.
But that's opening up complete vulnerability for them to share with you.
But you have to be vulnerable too and say, listen, whether it's with tears in your eyes or whatever, listen, I understand and I want to understand where you're at in your life. I want to understand this social network that you guys live in. What are your biggest fears? What's holding you back, or what's driving you to do XYZ thing? Why are you being disruptive? Why, and some kids it's going to be a neurological thing. They're just off the rails,
right.
Like a knucklehead,
Sure.
crazy. And there's other people that have that and even young adults, whatever, that have been yearning for something that they haven't gotten, and that because parents sometimes don't want to hear it, because the fact is we all have our own stuff going on,
right.
Whether we want to believe it or not, and we tend to shun our kids' problems away because we got our own stuff, trying to keep our marriage or trying to keep our job or trying to keep the lights on or trying to do this or trying to do that, right? And I think really getting to the nuts and bolts of who your child is as a human being is something that needs to be understood by parents.
And you talk about that conversation and sitting them down, and it's an excellent time for a parent to say the positive affirmations, to tell them what they're great at,
right.
To tell them what a great person they are. And that can help them maybe not look for that affirmation outside of that.
And let's not forget, though, all of us are a product of our environment from when we were young.
Amen.
So we are all carrying trauma, whether any of us want to believe it or not, that has been unpacked by us as adults, that we've carried for our whole life.
Right.
And whether it's my parents beat me, I'm going to beat my kid, or my parents didn't beat me, I'm going to just be lackadaisical. 6 to 1, half dozen other, however it goes. But there has to be, everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be understood. And obviously, you're not ever going to be always on the same playing field. But if you can compromise and let your kids know that you are, in fact, really there. You're not just saying it, that they can trust that when the chips are down or when they're really in a bad spot, that they can come to you and not be judged and not be worried about being in all this kind of crazy trouble, because we need to reverse and we need to go back to when we're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right. And what were we doing? And a lot of people, though...
People shame their children.
They shame their children, and I think more people than not are naive to a lot of things, because I don't think a lot of people run as hard as someone like me or you. Like, I've done a lot of really crazy things in my life.
Yeah.
So I understand it on both sides.
Right.
But it's made me but I'm a really good, compassionate human being, and I understand the hardships and the troubles and all the things, right? And I think you have to have humility, and I think that being humble enough to understand as parents that maybe we did our kids a disservice sometimes, and to identify that and to call it out even on ourselves sometimes, I think can make strides if you're struggling with your kid, to try to reel them in and let them understand that you get it, or tell them a story of when you were a kid, when you did something dumb. You got to get on their level. Because if it's always like, Johnny, what do you got? Rocks in your head? What'd you do that for? Why would you take all my tools out into the grass and go start the field on fire?
Right.
When the guy that's yelling at him took his dad's 1969 Camaro out with his friends and crashed it into a tree.
Right.
But he's not going to tell his kid that because he's going to be Superman in that thing.
Right.
But guess what? You did it, and he's doing it.
Right.
So you're shunning him because he's a kid, but, you know.
So I'm going to challenge everybody right now that listening to all of our parents, like, as an action item number one to all of this is to take the time to sit down with your kids and talk to them and let them know.
Yeah, and they don't want to talk to you, though, because they're kids and they're in their teens and you're...
But they're still going to get it, though.
But they got to get it. And you got to maybe take it as a funny approach or do a little bit of research on Snapchat and understand their culture and be able to talk to them about it. What people don't realize is on Snapchat, your kids, when their location's on, predators know exactly where your kid's at.
That's scary as hell.
Everybody. You can see right down to their house. Everybody. You can see where they're at, what they're doing, where they're talking.
So should parents take the take the location services
Well, this
off?
is the thing, though, is that this is here. Kids go to college, right?
Right.
Again, little Johnny's been parented for his whole life, right?
Air quotes, yes.
Right, air quotes. Johnny can't do this, can't do that. Johnny, da, da, da. Look up the statistics on kids that go to college and what they do, and sexual predatorial stuff, and things that happen because they're coddled. Not even coddled, but like parents think that they're doing them this big service. And don't get me wrong, you have to parent your kids. Your kids do not have to have boundaries and all of those things, and we have to structure them to be sufficient people on this planet, and that's all fine and dandy. But in today's day and age, there's so much outside influence.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there wasn't. What your dad said, and nobody was saying it because everybody's dad was doing the same thing.
Right.
You were getting your ass beat, whatever. Even for me, like my parents were divorced, but I'll tell you what. The only time I ever saw my dad get mad is when I was 9 years old. I smashed the back of his ankle with a shopping cart at Jewel in Antioch, and he spun around and wanted to rip my head off.
Funny, I've been in that exact spot before. I think a lot of us have.
But my dad.
But you remember this from 9 years old.
But that was the only time my dad was ever mad. My dad, every dumb thing I ever did in my life, my dad sat me down and said, "Hey, listen. This is, you're doing this. This is detrimental to your success of your life." I mean, I was doing some really crazy things when I was a kid, and that's how I started my construction company, actually. My dad caught me with a bunch of stuff that was whatever, and he sat me down and said, "Hey, man, listen." Now, he could have yelled at me and screamed at me and whatever, but like...
He'd tell you to get your shit together.
He just sat me down and said, "Hey, listen, you're better than this. And what's your plan? Because when you leave this house, I'm not in control of you when you leave this house. No matter how much I want to be in control of you, I'm not."
Right.
And again, that's what I go back to is that when we're putting all these stipulations on our kids all the time, we're basically saying, "Hey, we failed you as a parent for your whole life. Everything that we've taught you up until now doesn't work, and we're just going to keep grabbing you in and hover over you so that you can't ever make the wrong decision. And even when you do, which you're already going to do, then you're going to be in all kinds of trouble for it, or whatever." You just, again,
we need to open the lines of
you got to raise
communication
them
with our kids
to do dangerous things carefully, and you have to have them want to tell you things.
Right.
Because if they don't want to tell you,
there's so many things going on, and everybody that's listening to has kids.
And they're not going to tell you everything. I mean, let's face it.
We didn't tell our parents everything.
But if you can, but like my daughter, and this is why somebody asked me, "Well, how do you know all this?" I said, "Well, guess what? I was a single dad for a lot of years until and when I say single, my daughter's mom went through some things, and she's way better now. But my wife came in and really brought structure and whatever, because I'm all over the place. But
I'm a single father right now.
Yeah. But they're like, "Well, how do you know?" Hey, my daughter and I have a relationship that's second to none, and my daughter's 14 years old. "Dad, I want you to hear these threads of me and a boy telling each other that we like each other." Everybody's like, "Well, you're going to condone that." Listen.
They're going to do it
They're
regardless.
going to do it. And the thing of it is being a young person There's nothing better than being a young person and figuring things out. But if she has to hide it, do I condone her? Do I let her have boys? No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But like,
right.
I encourage her to be a kid and to do things and whatever, because you're going to do it anyway. But there's other kids that the parents are strict and whatever, and there's kids doing XYZ thing and whatever, and
they never know anything.
Well, and like I've said to her, I told her this. I said, Paige, I want you to understand something. You're in 8th grade now. You are going to be faced with these things. Your friends are going to steal their parents' alcohol, or steal their parents' cigarettes, steal their parents' weed, probably steal pills and all this other shit, right? Or have these sexual whatever. These scenarios are coming your way, and they're coming at you fast. So I'm not telling you, oh, don't do drugs. I'm giving you specific things that you're going to be faced with. And when you're faced with them, you're going to already know. My dad told me these things are already coming.
Right.
Case in point, she's like, yeah, Dad, I was at somebody's house. They're playing spin the bottle. And this kid said, hey, you should drink vodka out of the thing. She gets in my car. She's like, Dad, you're never going to believe it. Just exactly like you said. Da-da-da-da.
Right.
But she was aware, and she knew.
Right.
And she doesn't want to see. And furthermore, we live in an age of the scariest time substance-wise that we've ever been in our life.
Absolutely.
And all of us collectively have drank or done whatever, and our kids see this or that or whatever. And not that they're not going to do it or whatever, but like, you just want to have them be aware, and we want to be aware too, right? And even as adults, this isn't only for young people, because as adults, we all deal with these things with these phones.
Oh my God.
And how much do we still have?
No, we're
time?
great, man.
So I came up with a thing that I call the IF-Is. And these are identify, clarify, verify. And the analogy that I came up with is this. So Tom, the parent, this is all theoretical. Tom, the parent of a 15-year-old cheerleader, is in the stands taking pictures of the cheerleading squad, right? He's zooming in on the girls and whatever. And Martha, the mom of another cheerleader, is over his shoulder.
Oh, God.
And she sees Tom zooming in and like whatever. Martha, she identifies this, right? And on an assumption, right? Whatever, or not even an assumption, she just sees this and she goes, Tom's a creep. He's like zooming in, whatever. She doesn't say anything to Tom. She doesn't tap on the shoulder.
Of course.
But then she goes to Karen, Connie, whoever. And it's like, yeah, Tom's like zooming in on the girls, this and that, da-da-da. So now over the coming months, Tom's kind of like ousted, like when he's at the things, he's sitting by him, he's giving him a cold shoulder, whatever. And his daughter too, she's like not invited to a couple things, whatever, and she's like all upset. So all of a sudden, Tom gets a call from the principal and says, Tom, I need you to come into my office. And Tom says, okay. It's been brought to my attention that every time you're at the games, you are taking pictures of the girls and you're zooming and doing all this stuff. And Tom kind of laughs and he goes, yeah, that's true. He goes, well, Mr. Principal, sir, I'm an avid photographer.
Right.
And I've been hired by the cheerleading coach to take pictures all year because we're doing a book at the end of the year. And it's imperative that I get these shots because it's going to be a really cool book. Right? So now in the public opinion, Tom right now is a creep show.
Yeah, he's a pedophile.
And he's a pedophile.
Right.
Okay? And on something that a mom identified that she didn't clarify and she didn't verify. So the if-Is are identify, clarify, verify. If we identify something, whether it's predatorial, criminal, or even good, we need to clarify what we believe we're seeing, right? And once we clarify it, then we need to verify and corroborate it with factual evidence before we go throw someone's name down the toilet, because now Tom has had to regain his name within the school. There's no law enforcement in it, whatever, but he has to regain his name. But now the tables flip, because now once everybody realizes that Tom's a photographer, guess what? Martha is a rumor starter and a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Now her daughter's not coming because now your mom's, nobody wants to talk to her because she's talking shit and all this stuff, right? So identify, clarify, verify.
Wow.
And where all this stuff came from is beyond me, other than I woke up one night and it all came to me and I'm rattling off all this stuff.
So you're speaking to groups and sharing this information to help people, because this program is for parents on how to communicate with their children,
yes.
but also sounds like taking responsibility and for themselves
for
as well.
themselves too. And I want what I want is I want people to leave any of my
talks with some tools and a little bit of self-reflection on how they have been or who they are, and tools to remember, like I say, earning our children's trust and respect is as important as our children's trust and respect in us. Raising your kids with a hammer is not the answer, right? Identify, clarify, verify. Just all these little things, and to remember too that as many detrimental things as there are, around the corner there could be huge strides. And this is what I was saying, we kind of got off track, is that this is the caveat to the whole thing. So mom and dad, X and Y, Johnny, you can't have any of these apps, right? Right.
Because da-da-da-da. Now, if he gets in trouble or does something, it's problematic. But if Johnny comes to mom and says, hey, mom, Coca-Cola reached out to me and they want my beat to be in the Super Bowl commercial.
Right.
And they want to give me $5 million.
Right. So something great can come out of it.
Where does parenting go from there, though?
Right.
What's the teeter-totter on there? So is it, no way, Johnny, we're not taking $5 million. You're not supposed to be on the app? Or is it going to be, all right, Johnny, we're mad at you, but yeah, call Coca-Cola back, right?
Right, exactly.
Of course it's going to be call Coca-Cola back, right? But it's going to be on the other side. You're going down the toilet. So it's like that for that very reason is where the transparency and the understanding needs to be had to say, all right, I can't parent my kid around the culture of the planet. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like in your town, kids were on the phone, and right. That isn't the case.
Right. We were a big deal that we had our own separate phone line in our room, other than our parents.
Right.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you're talking about a global situation that all of us collectively are also in.
I'm in it,
and we're trying to tell our parent or our kids not to be.
Right.
It's like the pot calling the kettle black kind of thing.
Right.
Like you.
And it's hard to navigate through. And even when I talk to my daughter or my son about because I don't know how you feel about this, but I go through my daughter's Snapchat.
See, I believe that I've raised my kid.
I think I have too. But
I know the level of transparency that we have, and I know that.
Do you think that's wrong? Because I always tell them there's a difference between privacy and secrecy.
I don't think it's wrong, but and I'm going to say this again.
I'm just asking you.
No, but I am. People need to parent the way that they see fit for their kids and the way that they're rolling. Period. I just want to try to give people tools. I just know what's worked for me. Is that my daughter knows that there's nothing that she knows better, and she's mindful enough. She doesn't want to go down the wrong path anyway.
Right. Because
I've let her watch Dateline and shit in her life when she was young. And I didn't here, you got to sit down and watch Dateline. But I'm just saying it was never oh, hey, don't swear. Listen, think about it. Don't swear, don't swear, don't swear. Guess what, everyone?
Right.
When your kids are not with you, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this, fuck that.
Exactly.
All the time.
Okay, so I want you to answer this for me because you sound like you've done an awesome job parenting your daughter, and you have a unique situation with your daughter.
Yeah,
but for all of us parents out here that we don't know, maybe there's a one time you don't check, or maybe somebody's looking through there, and there is somebody grooming your daughter or your son to do up. So it's a delicate situation to have their trust, but maybe that's what is the breaking point to say, hey, listen, I see what's going on here. How do we change this? What are you doing? And talk to them about a different alternative than to be seeking out attention from whatever, or to make them aware of what we're talking about. They don't even see it that way because it's their normal life.
Well, what I would say is this. In my opinion, everything is about the approach. all of us collectively, anytime anybody approaches us with anything, good or bad, the first approach is how we're going to react, right? Our reaction. And what we're looking for from our kids is not a combative reaction. We want a reaction that is that they're okay with, or that they're that they're going to communicate with us or whatever,
Sure.
right? We don't want to come at them like, hey, so
would they be willing to show them
in
your
my
stuff?
opinion is if we flip the script on our kids and we take a different approach than we ever have
right.
prior to this day, whatever day, X day, and try to whatever your way is, to try to really think hard at what is a total opposite way that I could act, but that is going towards the same thing, right? So you're not going away from it, you're still going towards it, but you gotta change your whole scheme. And again, and that's why I think, and again, kids are impressionable, right? Kids are easily guided or misguided, right? So if we can try, and even if you're as a parent and you're trying to get, you might have to do a little bit of maneuvering at first, right? To get there. Right? And it may be whatever, but you want them to know that you understand, that you get it.
Right.
However you can convey that.
Right.
Listen,
It's good advice.
I get it. I understand you. You may not think that I understand, and you can't come at it as an adult though. You gotta have some
be at their
you gotta have
level.
some factual information behind it. You gotta do a little bit of homework and say and know the statistics of like this and that or da da da, or how kids communicate and understand their culture, and if you could maybe even I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the psychology behind it, but I know that young people's cognitive brain function is impressionable and it can be persuaded, right?
Right.
So, and you want to persuade it in a way that is accepting of you as their parent to let you in to their game, to their life, to whatever. And I think that it becomes harder and harder as from 10 on.
It's a tough time to grow up.
At 10, you need to be reeling it in from 8, 9, 10, and more, because trying to flip it around at 15,
right.
They're long in the tooth already, just like we're long in the tooth at what we're doing, right? Long in the tooth is like you're set in your ways. And even at 15, they're going to see through the bullshit a little bit more too, because they're 15 now, right?
Right.
But I think that trying to also maybe put small groups together as parents,
sure,
to talk amongst each other and maybe even bring your kids in with you so that everybody's on a level talking. I know that's a really hard thing to do.
Right.
But I think that if and I think that's another thing. I don't think parents converse enough lately.
Right. And I think people, maybe if they know something's going on, maybe they're embarrassed to tell their
friends.
Well,
they are
what
embarrassed,
their kids
but you know
doing.
what though? We all need to look out for each other. And not that you're and this kid isn't a bad kid. They're just in maybe a situation, or who knows, maybe the parent, whatever it is, but
everybody needs support.
Like I told my daughter, I could not stand when one of her, you get 5 girls, let's say. There's always going to be one left out, or 3, or whatever, right?
Right.
For me, because I see how my daughter feels when there's a sleepover with 4 and she's the one out,
right,
or vice versa.
Right.
And I've told her time and time again. I'll give you an example. It was her and 3 of her friends one night, and the 2 girls wanted to have a sleepover, but they wanted to drop the other girl off. They had been hanging out all day.
Right. So one has to go home.
So check this out, though.
Yeah.
The one that they didn't want to sleep over.
Right.
I said, I'll tell you what, Pate. You're going to make the decision. I'm not going to say anything. So we're driving. I was texting her as we're driving. I said, I want you to make the decision. I want you to think long and hard about what the scenario is right now. And I want you to think about it. All of a sudden she's like, hey, everybody's going home.
Awesome.
Because she knew
what it felt like to be.
She's known because of all of our talks that you guys are going to hang out all day and you're going to tell this girl, oh yeah, we're going home. And then you guys are, do you know how terrible that'll make her feel?
Right.
She'll carry that for the rest of her life. And I'll tell you this.
And then they're posting pictures from their sleepover while she's staying at home.
So check this out. So this is the other thing, is that what we don't realize is that our kids are watching their friends and their peers do things constantly without them and da-da-da-da-da. And it's detrimental to their psyche. And it's detrimental when they, even girls, whether any parent wants to deal with it or not, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, boys, girls, they're in that range of they're figuring it out right now, right? So they're going to be doing it. It just is what it is. But they see them doing it. They see them at a sleepover, and they're not there. It's detrimental. But I share this with my daughter all the time. When I was in 7th grade, it was me, this kid Jimmy, and this kid Brian. We were like the trio, right? And this kid Dennis too, but Dennis was like, he came in a little bit later, but because he was like at the end of 7th grade that he came in. But so spring break, my birthday's March 21st, so we were gonna go to Florida for spring break. We're all excited. They're like, yeah, no, we're not gonna go anymore. Okay? Now we're all excited. I'm like, got my bag, whatever.
Right.
They're like, yeah, we're not gonna go. I'm like, all right. I get to school on Monday, Jimmy and Brian are gone. They go to Florida.
Are you kidding?
Okay? They left me out. So again, being on my daughter's level, I said, Pate, listen, I've lived your life. I understand. I've been left out. I felt this way before. I know how it is. I know how it is to have your parents separated. I know how it is to do this. I know how it is to, my daughter's a really good student. I wasn't a good student, but I often tell her too about how one of my teachers, and this is another thing for teachers out there, my teacher's aide, Mrs. Thielen, when I was in 5th grade, she was a teacher's aide, and my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Fleshman, would put a refrigerator box in the class. And if you were bad, you went in the refrigerator box.
What?
Right? So picture Jimmy, 7th grade, poking a hole in there with a pen, looking at everybody. At any rate, this amazing woman, Mrs. Thielen, Cindy Thielen, and I've told her this a million times, I've told her once, she, by the grace of God, I don't know how she did it, but she created a program called PAL, Progressive Assisted Learning. And this is where I got the acronym thing from too. Progressive Assisted Learning. She took, so the next year I would have been 6th grade, she took 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. She handpicked us of kids that we weren't stupid, but we didn't learn on the same level that other kids did. Because I was smart in my own right, but like book smart, like it just wasn't my thing, right? Like I was street smart. Like
I hear you.
I was like wrecking shit and blowing shit up when I was in 7th grade, but whatever. But she gave me the confidence in my life to trust my abilities, to trust my judgment, and to trust like who I am as a human being, to know that I could do XYZ thing. And I think that whether it's a teacher, a pastor, a parent's friend, an uncle, whoever, and all of us have had those people in our life. If we think way back that have created are the fabric of who we are, right? There's that one person, whether either your dad or your mom, whatever. But
that woman made you feel seen.
Yeah, and her and I had this kinship that was forever, and she just always let me know. Like I'd be in there crying, like, oh my God, I can't do this match. She's like, Jimmy, you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it. And even if you can't do it. Do the best you can.
Right.
And whatever the best you can is the best you can do. Right? But she told me this. She goes, listen, you may not be able to do good on this math page where this kid, and this kid do it. She said, but I'll tell you what, I'll bet you could go catch a football better than they can. Or I'll bet you could run faster. Or I'll bet you could stand on one leg, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
So just because of this one thing,
Right.
That doesn't make you not good because somebody else can do it. Because there's, some of the wealthiest people in the world most CEOs, right, can't do what their people are doing, but they've gotten people or sought after people that are smarter than them to take care of those things. So you just have to have the vision, right? So,
no, I understand.
And we're getting off track.
But it's all metrics. You don't have to be great at math. You don't have to be great.
Right.
CEO or that metric is money.
Right.
When maybe the guy who's the poorest guy is the kindest person, helping out the most people
Yeah,
in the
right.
world and making a difference.
Right.
So, and it's important for your kids to know what they're judged on. It's not how many friends you have on Snapchat. It's
Hey,
not
listen,
how many things
I'm going to
that
tell you
have.
this too, and for all you parents out there, listen to this. My dad, for my whole life, told me this. He said, I want you to remember something. If you can count your friends on one hand, you're doing something. He said, but if you can count your friends on one finger, you got to figure it out. He said, because your so-called friends, all these people, these people that are whatever around you, when you're successful, like for me, I know when I had success before I lost the millions of dollars or whatever.
Right. Everybody wants to hang out with
Everyone wants to hang out.
Right.
Hey, yeah, you're going to buy it, whatever. And then, but everybody likes to watch you fall too. Everybody, some of your closest people too, you want to watch you fall.
I can relate
right?
with everything you're saying.
So, and that's, we could go on and on, but at the end of the day, to answer your question is this. I want parents to leave these talks with a newfound want, ability, and maybe presence of mind in their kids' life to get with them and try to understand them on a level that they haven't maybe in their whole life.
Gotcha.
Whatever that looks like. I don't know how that looks.
And that may start a relationship that changes the entire course of your relationship with your child.
For sure.
And I love what you said about approach. It's just not a random angry thing where you ask them to do something. It's a very planned out way to do it.
Yeah, it's all about the approach.
And we need to be aware of our surroundings.
Yeah,
as well
all
as
of
they
us.
do. Everybody.
Well,
I tell my kids all the time, be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah,
you have to know what's going on.
Yeah, and you don't want to live in fear, and it's not beat it into their head, but like just and sometimes too. How about this? Just have common sense sometimes, right? Let's keep it simple, right?
Wish we could teach that.
Just have a little bit of common sense, be aware, and more importantly than anything is this: be kind. Being kind is probably one of the biggest things that we as a society could do for each other to make things better.
Amen.
Is to be kind to one another and just try to be understanding. Because at the end of the day, we are all somebody, and I have a whole thing on this too, but we're the husbands to our wives, the wives to our husbands, all these things, fiancés and brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles, but we're also the person that held the door open on a blustery day for the person that needed to see kindness. Right? Or we're the person at church that sees somebody struggling and we go up to them and we're their light for that day. So don't ever sell yourself short, because all of us have something to offer all the time.
And it is available for free every single day.
Here's one other tool that I've used that has really been instrumental in my parenting with Peyton is this. This is what I've come up with for her and for my life in general, even with my guys at work. Remember this: every single struggle or success that we ever have, they're all momentary. Momentary struggles, momentary successes. Okay, that's number one. I've come up with a little perspective exercise and a little phrase that I came up with, and it's where were you last Tuesday? Okay. And I use Tuesday just because Tuesday's Tuesday, right?
And we launched the podcast on Tuesdays.
Right.
That's probably why.
So this is relevant to any day of the week, any time. But the next time you are in a detrimental situation, whatever it is, and remember, struggles can be 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, and whatever. But every struggle or every success that we've ever had, they all have a beginning, a ramp up, a fizzle out, maybe a ramp up again, and then they die off, and they might be there for a while lingering, but most of them all fizzle out sooner or later. At any rate, the next time you're in one of those states, in a state of mind where the world is going to stop spinning on its axis because you're having the worst day of your life, whatever day it is, let's just say it's Wednesday at 5 o'clock. I'm going to take your phone out, and I want you to set an alarm for the following Wednesday at the same time. And I want you to write a little blurb of what's going on in your life that day. And you need to set an alarm. When that alarm goes off that next week, on that day, at that time, you will be hard-pressed to remember the detrimental thing you were going through. Obviously, if there's some car accident or death, these big, huge things. But
put things in perspective.
But most day-to-day operational things that ruin our day and ruin our life in that moment are so petty, and the point is that we need to learn how to have emotional control, and that is the hardest thing for people. And we need to have emotional control in a split second, because the knee-jerk reaction can be detrimental and have detrimental consequences, whatever it may be. And the last thing is this.
I love that. So
tell my daughter this.
We're setting an alarm for a week from now.
Yeah.
From when that detrimental thing
from the
happens.
detrimental thing, and then you'll laugh and go, oh my gosh, right? Because
I wasted my energy on that.
Because in that very moment, you're going to be in some other bullshit thing that you're dealing with right then. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. And the other thing is this that we need to remember: the sun is going to shine on a brand new set of bullshit tomorrow, no matter what. Period. It just will. So we just need to have emotional control, and we need to just understand that life is coming at us every day, but we're either gonna let it make us react and start swinging, or we're gonna take a deep breath and take it in, even if it's in a split second, right. and logically, And one last thing is, and we'll get to this on another one, my 11 Life 12 program, 11 core legit issues for everyone. Number 12 being life. These are the core successes and failures of all of us as a society. Doesn't matter your creed, color, ethnicity, religious background, sexuality, profession, or any likes of the other. These are the things we rejoice in and the things that keep us up at night. You ready?
I'm ready. Religion,
marriage, relationships, parenting, family, health, education, work, addiction, loss, and finances. Those 11 core things you can infinitely down the line of your life associate to any success or failure or trauma in your life. Those are the things.
Wow.
Period.
And we can't even get to that.
We'll get to that.
That's for another day.
Thank you, everyone.
You amaze me. Okay, Jimmy, before we go, thank you so much. And Grace Lake, thank you for listening. So, Jimmy, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, we'll put your information in the episode notes here too. So if you need to get a hold of Jimmy, they'll be in there. But what is the best way someone can get a hold of you? Would they call you? Would they text you? Do they go?
I would say right now is text me.
Okay, because I know the website looks like it's under construction.
Yes.
So text me. So you want to give everybody your phone number?
Yep.
Let's hear it.
847-875-6476.
Awesome. And I encourage everybody, if you have a small group, whether it's a church group, whether it's a community group, whatever you have, if you like what Jimmy had to say, I'm sure you speak in front of kids as well. Do you do kids?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I have kind of a double thing to this. Is one is for parents and adults, and the other one is for kids. So it's you kind of got to peel it back a little bit.
I got a guy I got to hook you up with.
We got to peel it back because the kids is a little bit different than for the adults, right? So you got to kind of. Awesome. It's just the way that it's whatever, but
awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you being in here.
Cool.
Grace Lake, once again, as a reminder, no matter what platform you're listening on, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're at, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because every week when a new episode comes out, you will be alerted. And thank you, everybody, again, and I will see you next Tuesday.